Okay, so the voting are the different rights that equity owners have. Okay, the number one is voting. So um, basically, for major decisions, and really the most major that the shareholders decide is who is on the board of directors. Okay, so we talked about the structure of a corporation where you have shareholders, they elect a board of directors who represent them. The board of directors are then in charge of selecting the CEO, the CFO, all the corporate managers. Oftentimes, the CEO and the CFO or corporate managers can be on the board too. That can happen, but the shareholders in the end can vote them all out. Okay, they're the ones kind of determining who's on the board. Um, and then if there's a merger, right, the shareholders have to approve of that. So there's certain large events that the shareholders will vote on. Okay, but the day-to-day operations is managed by the board of directors, who are of course chosen by the shareholders. And the voting is proportionate to the number of shares you own. It's not equal. It is unequal, but it's fair in the sense that if you own more shares, you get more say in the company, and it's kind of a logical system. Now, it's not always, as I mentioned in like Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, though he has shared economic interest, meaning the you can say think of it as this next one, dividends. He gets like a proportionate share of the economics of the business. His voting rights for his class of stock is like 10x. So he still effectively controls Facebook just because he has that special voting class. Okay, even though I think he only owns like 15% of the business. Okay, he can basically veto anything because he can outvote everybody. And you, as an investor in Facebook, when you buy shares, you are uh, kind of agreeing to that structure. You're allowing Mark Zuckerberg to kind of control the company on your behalf. Okay, so that's the trade-off that the shareholders of Meta are kind of engaging in. Okay, so dividends, you can think of this as economics. Okay, you have some economic interest in the business. Okay, so usually you can think about it as this is control and this is economics. So if you ever have a startup, these are the two major classes of items you will need to negotiate with your investors. Who has control and how are the economics split? And they're two separate things. As we saw, you can have all the control, but like kind of share in the economics pro rata, or you can give up control and make both of them proportionate. So these things are negotiable and they're separate topics to be negotiated. Okay. Um, this liquidation preference is part of economics. Okay, so a venture capitalist, they're gonna want when they put in money, they're gonna want if things go badly, they want to have their money be able to come out first before the owner or the founder gets any money because the founder is necessarily not put up anything, okay, of actual dollars. So if the company goes bad, this liquidation preference allows the money investors to be the first to get their money out. Okay, so it's kind of related to the economics of the dividends, but it's a preferential treatment. Maybe if we have time, I can show you. We can look at some numbers of how this works. But it's an important thing to negotiate, and VCs will always have a liquidation preference because they don't they if things go well, they're going to share the economics with the founder. If things go badly, they're going to get their money back first. Okay, and this liquidation preference allows that. Um, Preemptive rights. So again, this is like uh, in the story of Facebook, Eduardo Saverin, his buddy who invested the first money into Facebook, he owned like 30% of the business. He didn't have preemptive rights, or I mean, I guess like whatever. He got screwed over because when they eventually brought in venture capitalists, the venture capital was like, this guy shouldn't have 30% of the business. So they set it up so he was diluted. His interest was going to get reduced from 30%. because he didn't have preemptive rights, meaning he couldn't invest to maintain his 30% interest. Okay, so it's a way, again, if you, as you're taking on more capital to maintain your percentage, uh, you're given a right to do that. Okay, you don't have to, but you're at least given the right. So he didn't have that, and he got in a big lawsuit. He never signed the documents, I think, for taking on that venture capital, but Zuckerberg just continued to do it, and they litigated and they settled, and I think he got a couple $1 billion from the settlement. And again, the different classes and types of stock, you are going to mix and match all these different rights. Um, but typically, the common stock that you buy, you're going to have proportionate voting, dividends. This is only really relevant for like venture capital and certain special situations. Preemptive rights. This one, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see. I don't actually know the answer. I don't think so, because when you own stock in a just some regular company, they don't ask you every time they're going to issue new shares whether you want to participate. So I don't think that this is really, this is also kind of probably for private companies and venture capital and stuff.